Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, this is Joe and Jay Outspoken. You can find all of our social media platforms at linktree/Joe and Jay Outspoken. Today's show is a couple days before Halloween.
Ooh.
And we're going to go over the origins of Halloween and some of the beliefs and weird traditions and all kinds of things going on. So
you know what I mean? I never learned how to do that.
You could do it better. Here,
I never learned how to do it because you know what? I was always that scared kid during Halloween. I was so scared of like haunted houses, of being spooked. Man, and then when I had kids, I had to suck it up, bro. I had to act like I was a man, like I ain't scared of nothing. But like I would take my kids to like haunted houses, my eyes were shut the whole way through, bro.
You weren't the kid.
No.
You were the kid.
Yeah, I was. I mean, whatever. You know what I mean? I knew where I knew I was going because my kids were leading me out. You know what I mean? I was scared.
It's funny because I remember, when I was a little kid, I loved going to haunted houses, but I was scared though at the same time. It's kind of like that thrill of roller coasters and stuff like that. You're not going to get hurt.
I don't even know how you could compare the both. Okay, very different. Like when I was a kid, I thought the Disneyland haunted house, the haunted mansion, I thought that was the scariest thing ever. You know what I mean?
Wow.
As I got older, it got dusty. It got dustier, and I could see the mechanisms. I'm like, well, all right, weak. These aren't real ghosts. They lied to me.
Yeah, arms are falling apart where they bend and all that.
Yeah. I'm like, their dresses haven't changed in years. They're lying to me. But anyway, so Halloween, what is it? People call it by different names. All Hallows Eve, All Saints Eve, Dia de los Muertos. There's so many different callings for Halloween. And there's so many theories out there how it started. Most people go with the old belief that it was a Gaelic festival called Samhain, right? And so they contributed to paganism, right? That it had pagan roots and whatnot. But some even go further to suggest that it was actually more of a Christian holiday in remembrance of the dead, right? So
correct.
It is one of those most controversial, probably most hidden truth. You'd really find out where it came from because no one really knows. Like I guess these are all just speculation from people because people on the Christian side saying that's all paganism. You have people on pagan side like, well, it started with you guys, from for celebration of to observance of the dead, and so there is no happy medium. So what do? We celebrate it. Why? Because gordos like myself enjoy the candy that comes with it.
We always like the candy.
Oh, yeah. I used to, when my kids come back, I dump all the candy. I take all the good ones and just give them all the nasty, like those what do you call it? Like they were these wrapped in, they were like a yellow red wrapper, and they were like caramel, and they get stuck to your teeth. I hated those. I give those to my kids.
You know what I never really liked was Smarties.
I love those. They were cheap.
I'll give you all the Smarties when I go trick or treating this year.
Well, I've matured, Jay. I've matured. I've moved up, and now I'm for like full size candy bars, like Baby Ruth, whatchamacallit, Snickers, things of that nature. You know what I mean?
That's what I give out here at the house to the 20 kids that actually show up.
Those pagan children, the pagan children.
Yeah, like last year, I think I had 4. It was literally like no kids showed up to the house.
Well, bro, after being locked down for years with COVID, they're kind of let's not get out
whatever.
There. Well, there's also, remember the scare back in the 90s with the blades and the apples and things like that.
Apples.
You remember that?
Yeah, and thinking about that now, it's like, who gives out apples for Halloween? Like I can remember.
That should be your first clue that there's something wrong.
There's something weird, yeah. Because I do remember for like Christmas, right when I was a kid. You had your stockings, and I remember getting oranges. And
you got coal, bro. Who you lying? You got coal.
It wasn't normally apples, but I'd get oranges and like walnuts, and then candy and stuff like that in there. And through the years, then those became things where they'd put toys and stuff like that.
Oh
yeah. That was kind of the deal. And I guess if you go back far enough, probably fruit and stuff was one of the things from the origin of like the actual physical trick-or-treating, the traditions of trick-or-treating, they may have originated from the practicing of what they called souling. And that's where poor people would get dressed up, go to the homes of wealthier people, and receive food or money in exchange for praying for their souls. So, that's one of the originating beliefs that where it might have come from. And you had mentioned something at the beginning of this about, the Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos. So that's a lot of the belief is these things have kind of, meld together, right? So the different traditions of, so one of the things was like wearing costumes. So where does that come from? Why would you wear? Obviously nowadays the costumes that are being worn, like the little princess costumes and the Ninja Turtle costumes or whatever, that has become part of the, what I have always called the Hallmark holiday part of things, where all you're doing is, selling something. It has nothing to do with the actual tradition or anything like that. You're just selling stuff, just kind of like Christmas. Christmas has become very commercialized, right? All the stuff that we buy during Christmas is not the meaning of it, right? So one of the things is like the jack-o'-lanterns are a big thing, right? And obviously during that time of the year is harvest time, right? So you're landing in the fall, and that's harvest. So the jack-o'-lantern is associated with Irish folktale of Stingy Jack. And I don't know if you've ever read or heard about that.
What is it?
The world. Stingy Jack.
I thought you said Steamy, bro. I'm like, look, man, this is like a family program.
Family show.
You start going into like some kind of porn movie. Steamy Jack. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah, you got to be 18 or older to buy this book. So, anyways, he roamed the world after death, carrying a lantern to light his way. On All Hallows Eve, the Irish would carve faces onto turnips and place candles inside to protect themselves from spirits. So, obviously, turnips, and then gourds and things like that, and then the pumpkin just became the kind of the standard bearer of what we use for Halloween.
Well, because what's funny is I identify the pumpkin with the Headless Horseman.
The Headless Horseman, right, because of that story. And see, but that story, again, where did that come from? So did that come from this
demented person's mind? I don't know. The
Stingy Jack story, from
could be
Irish folklore.
The extent, that could be.
Yeah, absolutely. And all that stuff gets kind of meld one thing into the other.
You know what's funny, though? The origins, going back to that a little bit, because what you said. And that goes to what we initially just said, that there's really no true meaning or understanding of where it really came from, because some influencers, Christian beliefs, say that the word Halloween comes from All Hallows Eve, right? Which is evening before the Christians' holy days of All Hallows Day or All Saints Day, right? Which is on November 1st. And then going to the one you talked about, All Souls Day, which is the next day, November 2nd.
Right.
So, which is for us the Dia de los Muertos, right? And so in doing that, it could be tracked back to either early Christianity or some kind of Gaelic, I don't want to say ritual, but belief, so origins are crazy about it, because it could go either way, and it all depends how you look at it. I guess some people could justify either one way or other, but I know that there was a lot of popes that back in the days in early century, I think 8th century or something like that, they founded like All Saints Day or something like that. So it kind of stems from that my understanding was. So I also, now as I got older, I heard a lot, especially the Catholic side of my family was more like, oh, that's a pagan holiday, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, same could be said about Christmas, because they said that was pagan started. But it's so weird how there's stories to each and every version of things from either the Christian side or the pagan side, so who knows where it comes from. All I know is that when I was a kid and I wore those toxic costumes, it was kind of fun because, I got candy. So that's all I knew, is like, go out there, costume and get candy. We were, we weren't that family that invested in making costumes like people do now. No, we bought ours like at Kmart. It had the Casper the Friendly Ghost and like this plastic clothing that went over your body, and that's it, bro. Yeah. You could hear you a mile away.
Right. It was like a super thick trash bag, basically.
And then that plastic mask, bro. It was
Yeah.
also toxic. And
Right.
it's so
It was
funny now.
just this front mask, and then it had like the little string that went behind, the piece of elastic string that went behind your head.
Put a picture up just so they see what we're talking
Yeah.
about, bro. It was so sad. We were so poor. God.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So Halloween is not celebrated all over the world. So a lot of your so basically none of the African countries celebrate it.
Mhm.
A lot of your countries, like around, so India has just started into it, but you know, kind of limited, right?
Right.
And more of that is because they are interested in Western cultures, just kind of like Japan. Like Japan never celebrated Halloween, but now it's becoming a little bit of a thing because they like Western culture stuff.
Correct.
So if you look at the heaviest places where Halloween is celebrated, obviously the United States is basically the biggest one. And then where's the other big place? England.
Yeah.
And then a lot of Europe. So obviously this has come from that European, you know, settling of the United States. And why is there so many different beliefs and thoughts on how it started, and how you have, you know, All Hallows Day and All Saints Day and all these different things? Well, because as people came over to the United States, and then, you know, people were born here and they left their traditions in Europe, they're remembering kind of what's going on. But I truly believe that that's how a lot of these different things changed. So yeah, you had the first night of what was called Samhain was on October 31st, and that's the date that we, you know, obviously celebrate what's called Halloween now. That became All Hallows Day evening, the night before the saints were venerated, right? So the name eventually, I'm assuming that's how it morphed into the word Halloween, and it became the time when Christians could turn the supernatural symbolism and rituals of Samhain into some, you know, spooky fun, whatever you want to say. So there's a lot to unpack when you're talking about the history of how all the stuff started. And again, even modern day, because if you go back to like even the 1950s, and I'll pop a picture up here, the 1950s, right? Those costumes those people wore were super creepy, right?
Mm.
And but they weren't commercialized. You know, you didn't have like the Wolfman or Dracula, or what else is there, Frankenstein, and all the old, I call them the Universal monsters, you know, that started way back in the day.
Yeah.
It wasn't those yet. People would just dress up in like whatever, and they'd put, you know, paper bags and paint them or whatever on their head, and that's what they used. There wasn't, you know, you didn't have the commercial costumes yet. And then by the time we were, you know, when we were young, the very first of those costumes started coming out. And by the time we got into, I don't know, middle school to high school, I would say, is when you really start getting like more of the like really way better latex masks and stuff like that were really, really good. I mean, stuff started getting, and that's kind of basically what's carried through today. And now today, it's even gotten away from that. Like you see all these kids in whatever, you know, what's the new Disney movie right now? I don't know. I know a few years ago, it was like 900 Elsas, right? Because it was, everybody was
Frozen.
all the little girls want to be Frozen.
Yeah.
So, and you know, whatever the trend was for little boys too. I mean, you saw, you know, 100 Jack Sparrows and all that kind of stuff, and those aren't really creepy, you know. And so now, if you would, the kids now that would talk about it, it's completely differently more for them from what it was when we were kids, and then from when our parents were kids. You know, a lot of stuff has changed, and yeah, it's that's really interesting. You know,
I'm debating like what to wear this year. Either Kamala Harris costume, that's really frightening. Or I was thinking maybe just do like Border Patrol and go down somewhere, you know, where there's a lot of Hispanic communities, and just ask for. I'm just saying, it's a scary thing for us Hispanics to see Border Patrol. You know
Border Patrol.
So, why not? I'm either going to get candy or I'm going to get beat like a piñata. So, you know, the options are limited. So, you know, I got two options, and that's all I get. But Kamala, that might be a very dangerous and scary one right there.
Yeah.
So, but it's funny though. it's funny how traditions change and they go out. Some people like Dia de los Muertos, right? Traditionally you go out to the cemetery, you take candles. There's a certain bread that you take out to put on the gravesite of your loved ones. And it's just a night of mourning. You just there
Right.
to pray and whatnot and celebrate life. And here in America, we go out and we seek candy, right? We go out there what we call trick or treating, looking for that good candy. And trick or treaters know, bro. You give out that bad candy one day, we're gonna either egg your house, TP it, or we just ain't coming back. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
and I know you give good candy, bro. That's why I go. I don't know if you recognize. I go in there like ET sometimes and just get your candy, and then I leave because I know that's good stuff right there. But it's so funny to see some of these traditions because it's so different. It goes like from one spectrum like to the other, right?
Right.
And I think that goes from it goes from a very Christian belief into the more festive, fun kind of like, let's get sick with candy and sugar and become diabetic.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to see, though. It's just like the costumes get better every year, right? So like,
Oh yeah.
I remember
More
like
creativity.
when the first Jason Voorhees one came out. I'm like, well, that's pretty good. You know what I mean? And they get better each time, and then so now they're not even doing like scary ones. They're doing just like a costume. It's just basically someone you're not, right, or someone that you admire, someone that you just want to be. Right now, you see a lot of Trump. How many Trump masks did you see? Back Halloween last year. It's just
I think
crazy.
2016 because I was at a different house at that time, and I had like, oh gosh, anywhere between like 280, 300 kids would come by. My neighbor and I, we had we'd like count the amount of kids and everything. And yeah, there was a lot of kids with, there was
that's
one,
not weird.
they had,
That's not weird at all. Counting.
What's that?
Counting kids. That's not weird.
Counting kids isn't weird at all. Yeah, that sounds a little creepy, right?
Yeah. Who is this neighbor? And where is he today?
Why are you counting kids? No, because it was one of the things that, well, I remembered it from when I was a little kid. My grandmother would tell me, oh, we had 58 kids tonight. She'd count how many kids came up to the door and they gave candy away to and stuff. So yeah, it's I don't know. That was the first time that I had seen that many.
That's a lot of kids.
It was a lot.
That's
I blew through the amount of the amount of candy that I bought, like those big, huge bags, and I'd go through like 6 of them and not have any candy left.
Yeah. Well, kids now, moms, like, there's apps out there, bro, to give you like who gives the best candy, and people literally drive out there and let their kids walk around. I mean, I'd be doing the same thing if I had that, but they literally have it's just gotten crazy. I mean, leave it to us Americans to commercialize everything we do.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, hell, I'd buy that candy too. But it's just amazing just to see like how it went from what it was. And some of those pictures, like the one you showed earlier from back in the 50s, from the scary, like they were really trying to cause heart attacks back then for kids, like really traumatize them with those costumes. You know what I mean? To more of trying to traumatize them, then we moved on to trying just to kill the kids, right? With the toxic stuff that's in the masks to what we have today. Right, where today it's so different. Like I said, it's not even about scaring you anymore. It's more about just being someone you're not, right? And it's just being a costume. People really go out there. A lot of face painting now that's great work that I see a lot of people do. Then you still have those great, which I'm still fearful of, haunted houses out there, right? You have these places that come back every year, like the one in Arizona. Oh, man. I'm still yet to go to one that's really, I try to see like, okay, that one looks kind of fun. There's like a corn maze, so it can't be too scary, you know what I mean? But the festivities have grown quite a bit, and it's really been popularized with movies and stuff like Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. All these movies that came out, right, that have come out has really popularized being scared. Like, people hate being scared, but yet they pay money to go get scared, right? And so the next biggest thing of being scared in a haunted house is me getting lost in a corn maze. I mean, I'm a small guy, bro. I get lost quick. You know what I mean? It's just amazing the things that people do with like the electronics nowadays that they put into these haunted houses that are one day. I mean, some open up like 2 weeks before Halloween, but really just comes down to a couple of days of Halloween and the amount of money they invest in trying to scare the soul out of your body is just amazing. You know, and I'm like, dude, they have one down south Arizona. It's an old slaughterhouse, and man, they fixed that up, and it's a pretty big place, and they fixed that up pretty scary, bro.
Have you been to that one?
I've drove by it. I'm scared. So you know what I mean. I'm like, why do I bro? I get scared of watching scary movies. You know what I mean? I may be a big tough guy on the TV. I'm really not.
So when I was young, I think the first time, and I don't remember how old I was. I think we were in maybe like 8th grade, because I'm trying to think of who was there with me at the time. So I'm pretty sure it was 8th grade.
Was back in the 50s?
Back in the 50s, yeah. Dang you. So,
Just kidding.
So we built, of course, my dad had helped. We built this, we built a coffin, the old toe pincher coffin.
Yeah.
I'll put a picture up what a toe pincher coffin is. So it's the old Dracula looking coffin. And there was nothing to it. I think we just got some old paint, whatever it was. I think it was brown paint. I don't even think it was black. And we just painted the whole thing, because at night you really can't, you can't see what's going on.
Yeah.
And I think I hid inside that. And then my dad was giving candy out the front door. He put literally like a plastic bag on and had some kind of whistle or something, and just like freaked. It was freaky, man, when he did it. It even was weird to me, because, and I'd like rise out of that. So they'd walk by the coffin, get the candy. And when they're walking back, I'm like rising out of the coffin, just freaking them out. And
that'd freak me out.
And a friend, he'd run from the side of the yard, and chase the kids out and stuff. One of the kids like hit the fence and dropped candy. We're like, yeah, we get more candy. So, and that was kind of the start of it. And I remember getting like, ooh, this is actually fun, scaring kids.
Yeah.
And so one of the things you said just a minute ago here was how much money and time is spent on doing Halloween setups and things like that. And
we're one of them, bro.
Yeah. And there's I bought projectors, lighting, all kinds of crazy stuff too.
I think the one I liked the most was when you did that skeleton in the bends.
Yeah. Where it was like, that was right around the time of what was that show? The Walking Dead. So I didn't have time to do it, because I was going to put some like brick on the side to make it look like the car crashed through the bricks, and then have like a fog machine underneath it, so it looked like it was kind of smoking. But I did put like the emergency lights and printed out this thing that said, what does it say? Zombie, I don't know, zombie unit or something like that on the side of it. And then had the projector in the back with like a screen on the front.
Yeah.
And it looked like they're trying to get out of the car. Another good one was I had a projector on the second floor pointed down at the ground, and I actually dug a little hole in the ground, made like a mound.
Yeah.
And it looked like spiders were coming out of it,
Yeah, that's crazy.
That one freaked all the kids out. I love more of that kind of stuff, like the sensory stuff than the guts and gore and that kind of stuff.
When you touch me, is that a sensory stuff? Is that when you scare me like that? Is that's sensory? I just want to make sure. I don't know how to categorize that. I didn't want to go into like legal standards. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, there's a lot of those really what they call extreme haunts, where you have to sign like a waiver to go in, and some of them, I mean, there's like, people are naked and they touch you, and
all right, we crossed the line there.
It can get really weird. I mean,
so I remember one time at Universal Studios, I got chased with somebody with a chainsaw. I mean, they don't have the blades on there.
Chainsaws are always fun,
bro. That scared me to death. I'm like, you don't know. You think that some dude probably has chains on that, and you just, I don't know, bro. I was young. I was like in my 20s.
So when we were in high school, I don't remember what year that was, but the guy, and I'll tell you his name afterwards. But his house, he volunteered his backyard, because they had a huge backyard, and their backyard backed up to like a big desert area.
Okay.
And we went and got pallets like from everywhere, like all the grocery stores and everything. We were grabbing pallets left and right, and we put them together, and we make like a tunnel and all kinds of houses. And we found We got scrap lumber from a couple of the building projects we got with the guys, and they gave us like boxes of like nails and
Oh,
stuff that they
wow.
weren't going to use, and all kinds of stuff. And it's funny, years later, his dad passed away a long time ago, but I remember talking to him years later because he worked for worked at the courthouse,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to go in there, to pay my bail. And anyways, I was talking to him, and
Don't lie. He went to put money on my books.
yeah, make sure you can get your cigarettes for the week.
I know.
So I was like, hey man, you remember that haunted house we built? He goes, yeah, my dad's still pissed about that. He says every time he mows the lawn, he finds another nail in the yard.
Oh, Jesus.
So yeah, we built that thing, and we actually made a bunch of money that night. It wasn't a whole lot, but one of our friends' dads worked for like Budweiser or something like that, and we got like those posters. And back then, you remember Spuds McKenzie?
Yeah. Well,
so they had
good
the
old
Spuds
Spud.
McKenzie like in the Dracula outfit and everything.
Wow,
so we posted
dang.
those at like the Circle K's and stuff around the area, on the windows. So people had the address to the house. There was a line of people, and
That's awesome.
yeah, it was a lot of fun.
But so look, those are all the fun things of Halloween. But you know what? As growing up, I was just like I am today. I've always been into like criminal things and like serial killers. Not because I wanted to be one, but it was just like it intrigued me, like just mysteries, and things like that.
You should dress as Jeffrey Dahmer this year. Then
all of a sudden, I'm
all of a sudden.
a cannibal. So like one of the things that scared me. I remember watching the show when I was younger. It was on John Wayne Gacy. Now y'all know who John Wayne Gacy is, right? The killer clown. And I remember watching him, and then he was out there. They showed video of him like at kids' functions and things like that. I grew this tremendous fear of clowns after watching that. Like clowns would freak me out, and then It came out, right?
Oh man,
and I'm just like,
it was creepy.
Yeah, that was creepy. This is old. This is the old It, the original It.
Yeah,
with what's his name? I forget his name. I think he's died already, but he played Little Shop of Horrors?
Little Shop of Horrors, yeah.
So anyway, came out, and I'm like, all right, just add on to my my fears already, my phobia of clowns, and so I was just scared. So I don't know if you remember a few years back, people were out there dressing up as clowns and standing in the middle of the street as people are just driving home.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
All right, that scared the crap out of me. I was thinking, like, if that happened, I'm going to run them over, bro. So if they think it's funny, they won't after I kill them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that ain't cool. But I just had this. It was, I don't know why my childhood was so traumatic for me like that, where like the simplest of things scared me. I don't know if it was my Catholic belief back then. I don't know if it was just my brothers that were horrible to me because they used to scare me all the time. My dad would tell me stories of these crazy things that happen in Mexico, because there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens in Mexico as far as like the supernatural.
Chupacabra.
That's just one, right? But we had like La Mano Peluda, which translates to the hairy hand. The hairy hand, basically, that's the devil's hand, right? And if you're like, he should tell me, like, you fight with your brothers and you go to bed mad, the hand's going to come out and grab your feet and drag you under the bed. Bro, I couldn't even sleep in my bed. You know what I mean? Like, there was a time that I
get your feet all curled.
Bro, I know. I take the mattress off and everything and just like put it flat on the floor off the frame.
Couldn't come out.
Yeah, no. So it's flat on the ground. Yeah. And there's no space, right? Or he would put a blanket, bro, over himself and squirm through the house like a worm. Bro, what do you do? Why do you do these things to a child? And so these are my memories. So I was like this very scared, very, very petrified child, bro. So everything scared me. Like I could be like, I hate in the dark. This is what I used to do. So my mom, very, very conservative woman, in more ways than one, she turned off every light in the house, saving energy, right? My bedroom was across the house. We lived in a ranch, right? So it's already dark out there. There's nothing going on. Shut off
no street lights.
Nothing, bro. Shut off every light in the house, right? So in order for me to go to her bedroom, you know what I did? I used to run, bro. I used to run from my bedroom all the way to her bedroom. I'd get there all gassed out. She's like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "It's dark out there." So she moved me I'm scared. So she finally moved me to a room that was across the hall to her bedroom. Because that's how, bro, and I used to turn the hall light on. And my mom would come out at night and turn it back off. And I'd get up, turn it back on. But bro, I don't know what. I was so scared. So until now, even today, bro, I still have some of those phobias. Like, and I think now it's more because we live in a very unsafe world.
Right.
That where I come around a corner and it's dark, I'll be like making those wide turns. You know what I mean? Just in case I got to defend myself. Dude, dark corners still worry me. Like, do you ever do that? Like you walk?
We didn't
like,
we didn't have a 300 blackout when we were a kid.
No, we did. Now we do. Yeah, now we do. And if you see me carrying a backpack, guaranteed that there's a 300 blackout inside that backpack. That's how small it is. But anyway, even now, bro, if I'm walking, I see this very dark corner. I think there's a serial killer sitting there watching me, bro. I don't know.
That's funny.
I'm a very sexy man, and they might want to take me. You know what I mean? They can't have that.
They
You know
want, yeah.
They want
Invasion of the Body Snatchers, right?
trying to duplicate me or something, bro. I don't know what's going on out there.
No, it's more of a probing. That's what's going to happen. So,
I mean, I'm not opposed to that if they learn something from it. You know what I mean? I'm okay with that. I mean, whatever. To each their own. But no, seriously, even like dark corners now scare me. Like even in my own house. You know what I mean? I don't know why, bro. It's just like that mental anguish that I have. You
from
come
being a kid, yeah.
From being a child, from the traumatic experience of my family, bro. I blame them. I'm years of therapy, bro, because of my family.
That is too funny, man.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy how the differences in, how you're brought up. Because I don't remember. I don't think my dad ever really tried to scare me
because he loved you. Because he loved you.
And
clearly,
I remember my grandparents, because I'd go to my grandparents during Halloween sometimes, and I remember this one year, my grandfather, he got up on the roof and like he tied off a rope to the vents in the top of the house from like the toilet or the kitchen sink or whatever. Yeah. So he tied a rope up there, and then I don't know how he made this dummy. It didn't even look like a human, but it kind of he like tied the rope around the thing to make it look like a head with the kind of chunk of body and whatever it was. And he, like, when kids would come, he'd drop it off the roof.
That is just wrong, bro.
Man, the kids would go insane. And I mean, you got to imagine this is back in it was the 70s, I guess, was roughly around the time. So, at that time, we didn't have all the special effects stuff we did now. But I remember specifically trick-or-treating. My neighbor down the street on the corner, John, I remember him and I, and depending on who it was that year, we would go and we would like skip 50 houses, man. We just go by all the houses. The house we would go to was the one with the colored light, the music playing from the record player or whatever they were doing. They had some like spider webs outside. We wanted to go to the houses that were the creepiest, that had, and at that time, comparatively, there was very little of that, but that's what kind of got all that started. And as I got older, like I told you that one, and I think that was in 8th grade, and I don't remember the years before, 7th grade, 6th grade, 5th grade. I don't remember when the last year I went actual trick-or-treating, but I know at that point, I know from there on, I never went out for candy again. I wanted to be the one giving the candy out, and I wanted to be the one spooking the kids and more making it fun.
So you're one of those guys, huh? You're the one that like to scare children.
Well, cool. There's actually Netflix, Amazon Prime movies. There's a couple different places you can get them. If you look them up, there are some documentaries, just regular people. I mean, just regular people own regular homes, and they spend time and tons of money on just setting up these displays. And I know the one, it's pretty funny because they're questioning the guy and they say, so how much did you spend this year? And he's like, I try to budget it. I try to keep it under like $3,000.
There's just so much cool things though.
They're like $3,000. That's a lot of money. So like for how long do you do the displays? Like just one night, just Halloween night. How long is the display open on Halloween night? 4 to 6 hours.
Wow.
So you spend from July till October building all this stuff, making all these things and spend all this money for 4 to 6 hours of kids coming to visit and stuff. He's like, yeah, I just love it. I look forward to it every year and I have a lot of fun doing it. And I know like California's probably got one of the biggest one. If you look up It's called Cal Haunts. That has nothing to do with like Knott's Berry Farm or Universal Studios. That is 100% for home haunters, people that build either just displays in their front yard, or some people that go as crazy as building like through their garage or even all the way through their backyard. They'll build a full haunted house. There's a guy, and I can't remember what state he was in. Steve, I'll put it up here. I don't think it was Steve Hickman, but anyways, he had like a little company he called Terror Syndicate, and he built this ridiculous. I mean, ridiculous. Better than probably you would see at Knott's Berry Farm. Seriously, it was that good.
Really?
In his backyard. And all he would do is take donations. And most of these people, that's what they do. Like bring canned goods for, like they have for, like the animal shelters and stuff. So bring 2 cans of cat or dog food and you can go through the maze.
That's cool.
Yeah. And most of those people, and that's what, like that Cal Haunts, all those people that belong to that, if you see any of the interviews with those folks, everybody will say the same thing. Everybody in this group is like, they want to do stuff for other people and they're super nice, and nobody's weird. They are just weird because they enjoy scaring people, and spending all that time and all that money for a couple hours, on one night a year. It's just pretty crazy. The one thing that I would say that, get away from the spooks and ghouls and skeletons and all that kind of stuff, back down to what we all kind of think about when we think about Halloween. Trick-or-treating, right? And it's more for little kids. It's not for us, right? It's more for the little kids. And what is the one thing that is really unique about Halloween is that a perfect stranger to you, to your home, little kids come knocking on your door and say trick or treat, and they ask you, and you give them
me
candy.
something good to eat.
Yeah, or we're gonna TP your house later.
Yeah. But you're right though about all the elaborate decorations that go on, and how it's in some neighborhoods it's become a competition, almost like with Christmas, right? Like I remember, you remember that shows, or I'm sure you heard of it, Stranger Things, that came out on Netflix. Is very popular. Yeah. They had this scene, I think it was in the last season, where Max Mayfield, a character played by Sadie Sink, she elevated off the ground. She got and so that was like the big thing that people were doing, and they used fishing wire and all kinds of stuff to reenact that scene. It was pretty intense, pretty cool. And I'm like, man, these people really just get down and dirty on how they do their things because they love it, but I think the ones that I love the most to watch are the ones that they put music to and the house lights up and things like that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love that. Whether it's Metallica or whether it's, Kids on the Block, they put it to, or even just like a Disney Haunted Mansion theme song that goes in there. It looks so cool. Like they make it look, and I'm thinking, man, how much money did you invest in? Because I'm sure that's a software and some kind of system that you have to program, right? And then you have all these lights, and there's so much things. And now I could almost guarantee, I'm not sure, I'm sure it exists, but I'm sure there's companies out there now that say, hey, you pay me and I'll go do this in your house. I don't know, but if there's not, idea for you guys, make sure you send me 10% of your earnings. But I think I just love seeing that now. I think that my biggest thing now, my biggest takeaway for Halloween is that I'm not I don't celebrate it a lot. Back in my younger years, I'd party to Halloween themed parties, go dressed as a cow with udders, and whatnot. At Croatia was very inappropriate at the time because, it was just my lifestyle. You want to milk my udder, you want to touch my udder, just stupid things. But, as you get older,
I can't imagine.
Not me, bro. But as you get older, it kind of just phase out, and you're kind of like, it's just another day. Got responsibilities and things like that. But I think it's what's entertainment for me now during that time of year is just the decorations that happen. I think they're so elaborate. I think there's so much thought behind it and so much work. I really admire how these people really take the time to do that. I do, however, one day want to go and celebrate Dia de los Muertos down in Mexico, because I think that also is fascinating and just a beautiful culture to see.
Right.
How they honor their dead. So I don't know. that's just like I said. It's interesting. I'm glad you brought this up, man. It was a good. It's good to know about these little things, little facts that people probably didn't know about. Probably people don't care about, but it's a good thing to talk about.
Yep. It's there's a lot of professional places like here in Arizona we have the 13th floor that's in Phoenix
we should go.
Yeah,
because I need someone to walk me through while I close my eyes.
I've been to that one and it's really, really good. It's really long and they man, the sets are amazing.
You shouldn't have told me that. You told me it's long. I'd be there like, oh, when did this end? When does this end?
The Fear Farm is another one that's in Glendale over by the where the birds play, right across the freeway. And
you had to mention the birds.
That one is there's like I don't know 6 or 7 mazes there, and then they have the corn maze, and then they have like the midway area where you can play games. They have like axe tossing and all kinds of stuff.
But do they have
and
corn to
food.
eat? Do they have
they do
grilled?
Yeah, they have all kinds of food and stuff.
So you know what? Let's go to that one.
That one's more of a carnival atmosphere, I guess you would say.
More wholesome? Not as scary?
More wholesome. Well, I don't know, man. I almost think it's scarier. The actual haunted houses in that are scarier than
Can you lie to me at least once so I could like...
The 13th floor just looks better because they put a lot of work into it. Like the sets are really, they're beautiful. Like they're done really well.
Do you remember that thing? I don't know if it was at Disneyland or one of these places where they had a real skeleton. They didn't even know about it. It was a real
That was in
skeleton.
the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Was it Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It was,
out of
it was
all
Walt
places,
Disney's bones, right? No, I'm just kidding.
No. But they did they ordered like a cadaver from somewhere or whatever,
It was a real cadaver.
Yeah, well, the bones of one or whatever, and
That's crazy, bro. That's crazy.
But later on they took it out, and there's one skull left there that is rumored to still be real, but I don't know.
But I mean, yeah, that's I don't know. To
At
me,
this point, who cares?
To me, that's kind
of
disrespectful because that's someone's body, and I know people donate their body to science all the time, but I'm sure it wasn't meant to be on a ride.
Yeah, with Jack Sparrow.
I don't know. That'd be kind of cool though.
Yeah. Where's great grandpa buried? He's on Pirates of the Caribbean in Disneyland, right next to Jack Sparrow spitting water. So, all right, everybody. Well, thanks so much. Halloween's in a couple days, so you guys be safe out there. If you're celebrating, just celebrate responsibly. Remember, there's kids running around, so slow down.
Yeah,
as much as you can. Every year, kids get hit by cars, and it's just. It's sad. So make sure that you're being aware and be careful. Parents, if you're sending your kids out there, glow sticks are dirt cheap and makes them easier to see. Give them flashlights and stuff. Put a glow stick in their little jack-o'-lantern that they're putting the candy in and everything. Make them light up while they're going down the street because
So
make sure
make sure you guys are watching out for each other. Take care of each other, and use crosswalks, guys. I know that we love to cross, intersections without crossing using a crosswalk, but just be careful out there. Take a little flashlight or glow stick like Jay says. Dads, make sure you take your Glock with you just in case. And
yeah, because that's what Kamala owns, so you want to take your Glock with you. And if you find my house, I will give out full-size candy bars. So there you go. All right.
He does.
I do every year.
I eat half of them.
Not anymore.
That's right. We're watching our health.
All right, everybody. Make sure you take care of one another.
Do better. Be better.
And as always, God bless America.
We'll see you next week, guys.
See ya.